That's where you meet me.
Aloha, everybody. Like that. Aloha, everybody. Stay right there, Drew. You're on this. So, how's everybody doing today? We just today is Wednesday, and we are doing an update with Philip and Andrew. Just to let everybody know, it's so awesome to be. So we were down at the Kalapana night market down at Uncle Robert's, or Andrew's grandfather and mine's place. So we were down there, and it was awesome to see everybody having some fun. And despite what's happening in Lower Puna, you know, it was so happy to see everybody having some fun down there and enjoying their time. So, you know, first of all, I'd like to say with the eruption is Fissure 8 is still pumping lava out of the fissure near in Leilani Estates. Surges are happening during the day, course of the day. Multiple surges are happening and pulses of lava moving through the system. Still, part of the cone had collapsed a couple days ago. I think it was Monday. Monday did it collapse, Phil?
Maybe what they say.
The 23rd.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, part of the cone had collapsed on the south side of the Fissure 8 cone. But as of right now, Pohoiki is still there. But this afternoon, looks like it had some south progress again, and looks like lava is moving towards the south and headed towards the boat ramp. It's creeping its way there, but it's still very much active. But I know for a fact that the lava is in the what you can call it, Andrew, the parking lot area, where you can drive down to Pohoiki and drive across the intersection and take a right, and so lava is pretty much in that area, or has taken out the or right against the pavilion. So this afternoon, our captain had seen some south progress. Looked like lava is starting to move again towards the south. Not a good thing to hear. Not good news for us. We thought we was taking a breath, because lava started to yesterday. Lava was moving to the north and was going away from Pohoiki, but apparently today, this afternoon, looks like there was a push towards the south. Let me give it to Andrew. Andrew,
How's it going, everybody? Aloha. Wait.
Right,
Good thing, cannot see me.
okay, there we go.
So, like Ikaika was saying, seems like there's been a little push to the south towards the ramp area, and yeah, not really good news for anybody from Puna, being as they, you know, a lot of people spend their time there, childhood growing up, you know, take their own children. You know, that's one of the jewels or gems of Lower Puna, and for us, you know, really tough to see. Hopefully, you know, it'll stall out, and we're just hoping for the best.
All right, Andrew, thank you. So again, if you guys just tuning in, looks like lava started to move towards the south again, and it's kind of on the road towards the ramp, moving that way. Other than that, you know, we have brother Philip. How's it going, Philip?
Going alright? Yeah. I also enjoyed going down to Uncle Robert's down there and seeing the music and everybody enjoying themselves and taking a breath and letting the music rejuvenate the spirit. Yeah, that was awesome. Awesome to see that and be a little part of that.
And it was awesome to see a lot of the people from Puna and talking stories with these guys, and sharing what's going on, and seeing them in a different light of you know, happiness and enjoying the day and enjoying their time. So it was a good vibe down there. So if you guys get any chance of going down there next week, next week Wednesday, go down there and have some fun, because it's a really good vibe, and yeah, there's a lot of spirit down there. So what's the new updates, man?
There's plenty of things to celebrate in life still, yeah, and
yeah,
that's a good place to do it, yeah. So yeah, I'll give you guys a basic update. Yeah, the one thing I want to kind of say is that, you know, the flow that's moving towards the boat ramp right now is kind of creeping its way there. So
yeah, it's not pumping.
It's super close. It's too close for anybody to be comfortable. It's moving fairly slowly compared to the main bulk of the flow. So what we don't have is we don't have that river of lava pointing straight down there. If that was the case, it would have been gone in minutes, right? So like, instead we're dealing with a sideways kind of creeping. The flow is getting really tall, right? Some of the photographs we've been seeing, it looks like it's risen up, I'd say at least 20 feet. Yeah, it's hard to say exactly, but it's gotten really tall. The first day that we were out there, I was out there with Andrew, I was guessing that might be like 10 feet tall, more or less, compared to the level of the ocean where we were,
right,
and then how high it was, like right by the coconut trees.
Now it's like dwarfing the coconut trees.
Now it's much taller than that, yeah. So while it's not really spreading to the side quite as fast, it's definitely building up that area, right? So we know lava is still coming in the area, and it's building up, and it's kind of oozing to the side kind of thing, yeah. So the danger is, of course, the more it builds up in the middle, at some point it can kind of move to the side a little bit faster. So even though it's kind of just creeping right now, I mean, I think we're right to be very concerned, because that creeping thing could make a little push, and it's just so close that, you know, any little change is not a good thing. So it's running out of time, basically. You know, running out of time for the flow to kind of change direction, for it to build up, you know, in a different place, kind of thing. You know, the best case scenario, if that's something you want to hold on to, is that that flow, now that it's so tall, if it can somehow stall out, there's going to be a really tall barrier now to get across from the side. So that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for that thing to build up so tall that it actually, maybe if it somehow, by some miracle, can stall out at that tall height, maybe to make a barrier. But most likely, because it's building so tall, the lava's pushing in there, it's going to going up, it's going to surging down to the side, and you know, that's what we're really scared about. Yeah. So.
Oh boy.
So if we're lucky.
So yeah, kind of praying hard for Pohoiki, and the likelihood of it lasting for a couple days is kind of slim right now. But
yeah, every day the lava creeps closer is not good. Yeah, I mean, so what we really need is the thing to break out and flip a different direction somewhere farther up than it has been.
Yeah.
So that hasn't happened. It may not happen. Yes, it is pouring here. You guys are asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, you know, we still have a little bit of hope to hang on to.
Another thing too that I think, you know, that could make a big difference is, you know, the earthquakes. We have a huge, you know, the space between times of the last earthquake and now, for the huge ones. This is the longest ever, right?
Not the longest ever, but it's on a longer end. So yeah. It's been, we haven't talked about the summit yet, but the last big collapse earthquake happened yesterday morning, I believe, like 6:40 in the morning or so. So it's been almost 40 hours now since that happened. I think our longest might have been 44 or somewhere there, maybe a little longer than that. So we haven't quite reached the record, but we are on the longer end. We're over average, even for the more recent ones of what's happened recently. So a couple of things of that. Yeah. One is that if a big surge, and we can talk about sizes shortly here, but if the big one doesn't come through as quickly, then it gives the old one a chance to kind of maybe stall and drain out. So that's one thing we could possibly hope for. That kind of happened to the last surge. It moved within those 12 hours. It went all the way almost to the boat ramp, and then to slow down immediately, right? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but, you know, that's one of the possibilities that we're holding on to for hope, is that, you know, the longer it goes between these things, that maybe it has a chance to slow down, actually. However, the longer the pause, it's possible we'll get another one of these big surges coming down, right? Not every surge that's been predicted has actually come and manifested at Fissure 8. It's not clear whether that lack of signal at Fissure 8 is something that, because we just can't see it there very well, because what we are seeing is that there is a pulse that is coming through the system, right? We're having reports from area of around Cinder Pit, by the bend, by Pu'ukapoho, where people are talking about seeing the actual surge like a wave, like a flood coming down the river, where they actually can see the thing moving. Yeah, we've never seen anything like that ourselves, or seen video of it yet. You know, or hopefully someone can send us a video of that kind of thing. But you know, if that's really the case, then maybe it's all fitting in a channel. We're not sure. The channels are definitely deeper than we thought. We're getting reports of that, you know, fairly consistently. You know, maybe not quite sure why. It could be the actual erosion, the carving down a canyon of the areas. I still think it could be a lot of the debris, like all these loose rocks from the walls of the channel that are kind of falling in there. They're getting kind of flushed out of there as well. So that can kind of help create some space, you know. So all those things together, for whatever reason, you're maybe not seeing it at Fisher 8. But whether that's true or not, then, you know, what was happening is that there's a surge coming down maybe 10 or 12 hours later from what we're expecting that's going to go down to that area again. So 2 surges ago was the one that turned towards Pohoiki and like got so close. The one that happened yesterday was the one that turned away from Pohoiki. What's the next one going to do? Right, so we haven't had a big earthquake yet, and it's going to happen probably in the next few hours, which means the surge will probably reach Pohoiki sometime tomorrow morning. I don't know if you guys can still hear or not. It's getting raining pretty loud all of a sudden. Yeah. But so yeah, sometime tomorrow morning is when we might think the surge might come through that area, and whether it could turn in the direction of Pohoiki, then once again it's minutes. So that's how close it is and how dangerous it is. If it turns the other way again, then we might buy another day for something else to change farther up the stream. But it doesn't look good. It's really too close for comfort. Yeah. And we're not quite sure how these surges really work. Yeah, I was talking to Les Peterson, White Tracker, today, trying to discuss some ideas. Because, you know, I've been talking myself about pulses, pulsations, and surges being different things. They might have somewhat of the same cause, in fact. You know, one thing we were discussing is how the pressure wave from the summit is taking different amounts of time to reach Fisher 8. Right, so how can that be if it's a pressure wave and the physics haven't changed, right? So the pressure wave must not be the direct cause, like it's not the pressure wave we're seeing emerging at Fisher 8, in my mind. In my mind, it must be something else going on, like there is bubbles collecting inside the pathway, right? And then when you give it a good tap, right, just like my bottle of water, right? Like it's got bubbles on the inside. If I give it a big tap, they all collect, and I get one big burp at the top. So maybe something like that's going on, where, you know, maybe like we actually have bubbles collecting, and if you don't have enough bubbles on the side, I can tap the thing again a bunch of times. Only the first one's going to make that big burp, because we didn't have time for the other ones to collect against the side. So maybe by having time to collect, and then only every other or every third or every fourth surge has enough power to actually shake that stuff loose. And maybe what we're seeing is the gases coming through the system. And then the gases travel at different speeds, because gases have a hard time going through small spaces. The bubble's too big, it can slow down, it can get trapped and caught. It's much more complicated. So that's one possibility that came up to me. Just my personal take on it, you know, and haven't finished, you know, kind of fleshing out these ideas yet, but like that's one thing that kind of came to mind, is maybe that's why there's some delay. And, you know, if that's the case, then we have like different pockets of gas within that, different areas of gas collection within that system, right? So anybody who walked through Nahuku, also known as Thurston Lava Tube National Park before the park was closed, the floor of the lava tube is real smooth. The ceiling, you get all these different vaulted sections. Yeah. Because in there what happens, even within one flow, one lava tube, right? The gases bubble out of the lava, they collect up, the lava's flowing down one way, the gases are collecting above, and they're going uphill the opposite way. And when they go up, they kind of collect, go pressure at some point, and actually can blast a hole, and that's what makes the skylights in those kind of areas. But, you know, what matters is that you basically have different pockets of gas, right? If the lava level was really high, they're all separate. One pocket, another bubble here and there. If the lava level was dropped, now suddenly they all kind of connect. And now those bubbles can kind of move as a bigger bubble, and that kind of can be one of the reasons that these things actually happen, yeah. Right. So something like that is a possibility. So we're not real sure about that. And if that's the case, then actually the movement of the bubbles is what's really dominating it, more so than the collapse events. The collapse events are matter, obviously. Right. But if you have just gas collection, you could have surges happening more often than the collapses, right? One possibility. You could have surges of different sizes depending on how the bubbles get out of there, right? you could have pulsations, just like it's a bubble, just trying to make its way through, like one bubble, no bubble, one bubble, no bubble, kind of thing. You know, more or less, more or less. That's another possibility. You know, I've always said the gases are the engines, what drives eruptions. You know, and so that can be one way that actually manifests itself. You know, we don't really know. We don't have an X-ray of inside of there how it actually looks. So we don't really know. You know, it could be something after the fact. Maybe we'll have a chance to study, but as it is, we just don't know.
Right.
So that's why maybe we see such variation in, you know, how often the surges happen, whether, you know, it's pulsing or surging, right? And then one other thing is that the channel of lava itself has like rapids and then ponds, and rapids and ponds, and rapids and ponds. And for like a surge to work its way through a system like that, rather than just like a channel that just drains, right? Like a water slide, just one point on the top, just shoot down the bottom, that's it. There's no delay. If we start having ponds, then it's gonna fill in that pond enough for it to spill over. Then it's going to go in the next pond. It's going to build up enough for it to spill over. So you can have a delay that happens, you know, from one part to the other. That can make it take longer and spread out that surge over more time. So that's why it might take so long to actually reach down to the ocean, right? That's one possibility. Yeah. So that kind of complicates the whole thing, right? It could be that the actual surges at the coast are not dominated by the pulses or the collapses. You know, I shouldn't say the word pulse, but surges at the coast are not by collapse, maybe more so by ponding or blocking of these areas, and then, you know, enough lava builds up it can clear the block or get through the pond, however that's actually working, because we are seeing a kind of pattern to the surges, but it may not exactly relate to the ones at the top, right? So like, why do we see a surge down near Pohoiki but not at Fissure 8, right? That's one thing we're trying to figure out. Yeah, so we're not real sure how it happens, but whatever happens, surges are still happening down at the coast, possibly more consistently than at Fissure 8. Right, so that's why you know, regardless of what happens at Fissure 8, even if we see, you know, it was an earthquake, no one saw something come out of Fissure 8, there's still a good chance that down at the ocean something's going to happen as far as a surge of lava coming through. And that's all of that just to say that, you know, that's why I'm so concerned about that area. Yeah, and so we can hope that, you know, the surge, you know, maybe pushes things out of the way, but also we're still in the same situation as before, where we have a really unstable dynamic system. There's reports of overflows from the bend right around Pu'ukapoho still. I showed a picture the other day. I can show it again. I got it here about how much stuff is in there. Let me find the right one here. I got so many on here. Where's the one? Nope, that's not it. Just a minute, guys. Oh, this is it right here. All right, this is a picture by Bruce Amori, Floating Paradise. I believe it was from yesterday morning. But so here's the main channel. This is the area of ponding that's not, you know, this is during a low lava level, but you guys can see all these big lava boats, right? We kind of joked about this being like the lava boat shipwreck, like so many all kind of gathered on the side here, right? And you guys can see the size of these things. These things are pretty big, right? And look at how big the channel is right there. Now it's true that when it's all full of lava, it doesn't look quite the same shape, but all this stuff is underneath the lava when it's flowing all the way full. So if something blocks it here, then it's going to reset the system, right? So that instability still exists, and that kind of thing can still happen. So, and that might be one of the only things that could save Pohoiki at this point, is if something like that on that scale changes. Then again, if it blocks off here and then goes straight towards Pohoiki, it's no better, you know. And if it goes to the north and takes out subdivisions, it's not that much better either, right? So no matter what, it's trouble, you know. When it comes down to, when we look at these photographs, there's just way too much lava coming through this river, and anywhere it points is never good news. So I'd like for it to point somewhere else from Pohoiki. Yeah. But still, yeah, there's no good outcome until the thing actually stops.
So just to let everybody know, whoever just tuned in. So this afternoon, I know we took a little breath of fresh air because lava had kind of stalled out, headed towards the boat ramp. But just this afternoon, looks like it's starting to creep again towards Pohoiki boat ramp and the Hale family area and all that area. So, you know, it's pretty much in the parking lot of Pohoiki, the lower parking lot near the ocean. It has pretty much almost take out the pavilion this afternoon. So yeah, it's just, and this is not caused by PGV, okay? It's just this eruptions here on the East Rift Zone have been active for many of years. 1955, 1960, 1920. 24, 1924, 1840. So it's not like it's been doing this a lot. So
before there was an APGV.
All right.
Yeah. So there's one other thing that kind of came up. This was pointed out by Ryan Finley and Dan DePunt at Hawaii Tracker, and I'm not sure what they've posted about this yet, but. What we're seeing in the images from the last couple of days is that there's an interesting spot over here on this is basically like the southeast side, maybe the east side of the Fissure 8 cone right here. We talked about yesterday, I talked about myself about how there was a small slumping event, we've been sometimes calling it collapse, but like, I'm not, it's not the whole thing structurally breaking apart. At least that one slump wasn't. It was a piece of the crack kind of falling in from the edge over here. But something more concerning is the appearance of something that looks like this. Yeah, this area right here appears to be, because I haven't had the benefit of going out there and looking at myself, but it appears to be an area where there was a crack that lava was able to kind of squeeze out from the inside through the side of the cone. And I don't know for sure that that's what it is, but if it is, that's really bad news. Yeah. Because all the lava that's in the channel going north could make a new channel going anywhere, going south from here, and then once it kind of fills in the area between Fissure 8 and Malama, it can go spill over and go south many areas, whether it's Ikaika area or closer to Mackenzie. And not to scare anyone yet, there is no nothing for us to believe that there is an imminent threat of that happening, but this might be the first sign that we look for to see, okay, well, that threat is becoming more real. So that's what this tells us. The investigative guys at Hawaii Tracker, this must have happened in the last couple of days, so it might have even been the same day as that other piece of cone slumped in. But that's just like, a development that's at first might be minor. Hopefully that's the last we ever have to talk about it. But if something happens where this thing starts to fail, then this is going to be the beginning of it. In fact, not even this, because we were talking about a possible crack in this area of the cone 2-3 weeks ago already. Yeah. Right? So we're not quite sure it's exactly the same area, but we have seen signs of the cone changing. We know for sure that the shape of it's changing. It's kind of falling in on itself, slumping in the middle. One thing that's probably happening is the vent where lava's bubbling out is probably getting wider, more circular. So that allows, the edges to kind of fall in to kind of accommodate that new shape and that growing size of it. So as it's changing, then the possibility of something more drastic happening increases, so that kind of thing, once again, would be really bad for anything south of here, Malama area. But that might be the kind of thing that also could stop the flow going where it's going now. Now, of course, we've talked about how it might take many hours for the lava that's coming out in this channel here to actually have an effect down at Pohoiki. So even if you cut it off here, there's still no guarantee that there's not enough lava to drain out and cause problems down there. In some ways, a surge is almost better because it can actually push the opposite way with much more force and establish a pathway away, right? That's the best we could hope for, is that it does that, and the branch on the Pohoiki side stalls out with a giant barrier in a way. But that's, pretty optimistic thinking, like to keep that line of thinking, but also be realistic in the fact that it's just way too close and there's way too much lava piling up and thickening and going out there. So I know it's really tough for everybody to hear that. I hate to say it. We're not going to call it being gone yet until we actually see photo proof of that happening. So I know there's a lot of reports going around, and we're anticipating this. We're trying to prepare ourselves for this, as much as possible. It's really not that possible, but as much as possible to prepare ourselves. And we promise as soon as we have any evidence that it actually happens, we'll let you know. Until then, we're not going to say it did, because there's still that small hope, that small chance we're all hanging on to. Yeah, and I think we should. I think it's something we need to do. To kind of keep our sanity, to honor our traditions and our love and history with the place. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. But it is kind of a longer shot bet that we're making doing that. So So yeah, that's the fissure rate update there. You know, if you guys want to see, I can show you guys quickly the summit plot of the tilt. So you can see the plot here for the last week, and here we are right here. So our interval is kind of growing a little bit longer than the previous ones. Although in general, like this one was a little bit shorter, that was longer, that was longer. So on average, it's gotten a little bit longer. But there's been a little bit of variation with these last couple, which interestingly, there may or may not be relation. You know, it's hard to tell exactly how the magnitudes are calculated, but the last couple have been the biggest ones that they've announced.
That have been, you know, lasting the longest. One of the longest.
Well, so yeah,
pattern.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so but it could be that there's some relationship between energy released and like the duration a little bit. So it could be that if there's some variation in the energy released, there could be some variation in duration. But if we look at the averages, we can maybe kind of reduce that effect, average it all out, and so it's still on the longer end of things. And you know, that's a pattern we've been looking for, because we still speculate that a lengthening pattern of collapse means slowing of withdrawal of magma from the summit, which eventually must mean slowing of lava reaching fissure rate and some winding down of this eruption, which I still think will take weeks for that to happen. Once we actually see kind of winding down, it might actually take that long to turn a valve off, right? So we're weeks away of any kind of resolution of this thing. But you know, I can have a little guarded optimism about this part of it, thinking that you know there is going to be an end, and I still hold to my initial assessment that the caldera can't collapse forever. There's a limit to how much magma can leave there and feed here. It's true that there's a pipe from below that can also feed here, but right now we have the added effect of the pipe from below and the draining of Hale Maumau added together. There's more of that stuff getting out here than is coming in. So it still remains to be seen. You know, it seems quite likely the amount coming in from below is not as much as what's coming out here, which means that it can't sustain what's going on now indefinitely. And I know that we've talked about places like the Heahulu and Pu'o'o having years-long eruptions, but I still feel that it's not going to be a years. That's certainly possible, right? We know it's happened in the past. That makes it possible today still. But, you know, I'm not sure the dynamics of collapse of Heahulu. We know that Pu'o'o did not have a summit collapse when it happened. You know, maybe that helped kind of keep the feeder pipe going through all the way, and that's not the case today. So that kind of, to me, kind of puts Pu'o'o kind of aside. You know, what's happening now is not exactly the same as what's happening there. Some parts certainly are, of course, you know, but like, in the whole picture, we didn't have summit magma feeding Pu'o'o, and that's not what caused it the last 35 years, right? So like, what we have now, maybe it will last longer, but I have no reason to believe that right now, given the caldera collapse. Now, as I've said before, if the caldera stops collapsing, and we see how much lava is coming out still, and then we can see, you know, what long-term effects might actually be, and we can say at that point, okay, well, look, it's going to wind down, or no, it's going to last for a long time. But until the caldera stops collapsing, we can't say anything, in my opinion, for long-term lasting. So I kind of go back to, you know, that statement that people still bring up to us here at the Hub. You know, that was an USGS statement of like the last month's 2 years. If the eruption style and rate does not change, and to me,
it's going to change.
It has to change. It has to change. So like that statement, yeah, it's true. But the if is important. The if is very important, because you can't keep that statement true beyond the collapse of the summit. Right, so that's still my take on it, to kind of just reassure people. I know it will end at some point. It will end at some point, and I still believe sooner than later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but of course, that's the big picture stuff. You know, we're focused on the details today. And, you know, I think we should focus back on Pohoiki and what's happening there, of course. You know, I mean, it's so important for everybody. You know, it's important to me, and I wasn't even raised here, right? So for you guys that were raised in the spot, and that's, you know, clearly the most important place left on the island. Yeah, for lifestyle.
For us, you know, Pohoiki was his last lifeline here. So we'll find out what's going to happen to Pohoiki. The Pohoiki is fake tomorrow. But as of right now, lava is moving south towards Pohoiki. It's creeping its way. It's in the parking lot right now. But, you know, for us, I'm not going to go out until Friday morning. So we'll have a live update on Friday morning on Pohoiki. But crossing our fingers, praying to keep Pohoiki safe, and hopefully it will. And so tomorrow I'll be in Honolulu for just a day, meeting with the Coast Guard, and I'll be back tomorrow afternoon, and I'll be out in the ocean. Me and Andrew will be out in the ocean on Friday morning. So, anything else, Phil?
I don't think so. It's good to have you back.
Oh.
Say that, you know, I'm glad you had a chance to go down there and check out the spots.
Yeah.
You know, as much as possible, as many times as possible.
Yeah.
Every day matters. Yeah. I mean, just like we have, you know, old Kupuna style, like, you know, every day it counts. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anything you want to say, Andrew?
Keeping our fingers crossed, guys. Aloha.
Yeehaw. Alright, so we're gonna leave you with this, everybody. Stay classy, Puna. Aloha.